Welcome everybody to The Candle Enthusiast. I am your host, Shane Carlson, and this is my secondary channel, Aromatically Speaking, the future home of all of my candle content, a place where you and I can sit down and we can talk about candles. It's the passion that matters, folks. It's the passion. And today I'm going to be talking about a candle company that I'm still very new to, but I've devoted the past 2 months to burning exclusively Bath and Body Works candles. Now, how can the candle enthusiast not be overly familiar with Bath and Body Works? Bath and Body Works truly is, if not the leading candle company in the U.S. It's at least number 2. But here's the story. I grew up with Yankee Candle. I am a huge fan and supporter of small batch candle companies. You know, the artists who are tucked away in a garage somewhere or in a kitchen concocting their own fragrances. But this does not mean that I don't have a deep respect for Bath & Body Works. And after these past 2 months, I have to say, I'm quite impressed and enjoying much of what I have been burning. And I promised you folks that I would be learning as much as I can about this candle company, and I think I'm off to a good start. So let's jump into the candle that I'm going to be speaking about today. And that's going to be, and I'm very late with this candle, by the way. This candle, I think everyone on earth has purchased this candle, maybe even purchased several. I think it came out around Christmas time, or at least the beginning of this year. But I just got around to burning it about a week and a half ago. I burned it several times, not all consecutively. I burned a few candles in between, and I really had to wrap my mind around this. But where I've left off from my last burn was when I felt right to do an evaluation of this candle, not just on cold sniff, but because I've actually burned this candle, I can tell you a little bit about my burning experience. This candle is going to be White Barn Blueberry Pie. As we can see here on the glass, it has this gradient color shift from a very light blue translucent glass, and then down at the bottom it gets much thicker. It almost looks like a syrup, like blueberry filling just seeping down on the bottom of this candle, but it's really just the color of this glass because the wax is just that creamy white. Chrome aluminum high gloss lid, which has plenty of my fingerprints on it. Let me get my nose in here. I did smell this in the store when it first came out, and when I purchased this, which is about 2 weeks ago, and I had smelled so many other fragrances, so many other candles, and even some of the Bath and Body products in the store. And then there were only just a few of these, so I smelled this one. And usually after, because when I go into a candle store, I'm in there for an hour, 2 hours, and usually I'm leaving with a little bit of a headache, and my nose is completely shot from smelling so many candles. But when I stuck my nose into this candle, my head almost was thrown back. In fact, I probably did throw back my head because of not only its strength, but concentration of so many different elements of a blueberry pie. I don't know what I was expecting, but we've all smelled a plethora of blueberry muffins, blueberry cakes, straight up blueberry candles. And I just have to say, although I love blueberry candles, I do find that a lot of blueberry candles just seem to have this artificial nature to them that really just kind of bugs me, because it's like you smell the candle and it smells good, but something's off, and then you burn it and then you hope that it's a little bit more authentic, but somehow something in those candles, there's a little bit of an artificial nature that comes through. And I think why I was so taken aback was because of how authentic and how little I smelled anything artificial in this candle. And that was just on cold. I mean, let's start with blueberry, but it's going to be really hard to be creative here, because anyone who smells this, we know this is a blueberry filling. I mean, this is not fresh blueberry. It may be a blueberry filling that does have a little bit of a punch of a little bit extra tartness that we wouldn't really necessarily come to expect in a blueberry pie. You know, imagine if we, ripped off the top of a blueberry pie and just took like a lemon and squeezed some lemon juice in there. And what that acidity will do is just brighten up the jamminess of the fruit. It'll give us that tart nature instead of just having this be super, super sweet. So yes, blueberry pie, but it does have a brightness to it that adds to the complexity, but also really rounds out this blueberry experience. But what kind of blueberry filling? Are we talking about grandma's blueberry filling? Are we talking about blueberry pies that you buy in the little paper bags? Are we talking about more of a cheesecake blueberry, more of a blueberry muffin? Is it more doughy? Is it more raw? Is it more cooked? Well, let's talk about that. To me, what makes this so darn nostalgic, and I mean that, nostalgic, is not because this brings me to my father's kitchen or my grandmother's kitchen. This is nostalgic because this reminds me of the boxed blueberry. Now, hang with me here. Hang with me, because I'm going to elaborate on this. But I do find that it has this, a blueberry pie that we would find in like a vending machine. And of course, that's going to bring me to childhood. But like Entenmann's blueberry pie or even cake, there's this sense of, there's blueberry pie in there, and it's loaded with pectin, and it's gooey, and it's really it's very syrupy, super high viscosity. But it's almost as if they're introducing more blueberry flavor in those boxed treats that we find in the grocery stores, Entenmann's, vending machines, wherever we find them, that they're adding, enhancing the ingredients or the blueberry pie filling with blueberry flavoring. And I'm getting that. It just really reminds me of those treats that we buy in the grocery store, the mini muffins, the blueberry muffins, right? It's just this reminder of just something of the past. This is going to be a subjective thing from person to person, but for me, that already makes this a very emotional experience for me, because it's not just the blueberry pie that we come across. There is something that is bringing me back to childhood. You got it. Blueberry or just berry, whatever they're called, the little berry crunch things inside of Captain Crunch, pebble things that they put in there. I can't think of a better word than nuggets, but it has that too. Again, going back to something from childhood, breakfast cereal, berry fruit. Was there another blueberry, specifically blueberry breakfast cereal? I can't think of one right now, other than Boo-berry. We had Count Chocula, we had Frankenberry, Boo-berry. There we go. Blueberry breakfast cereal. Perfect example. I should have thought of that sooner. But let's get into a little bit more serious things. Why this is effective in its authenticity. It smells like a pie crust. and in different ways. Come on, we can say pie crust, and call it a day, but we know that if we dissect the different parts of a pie crust, different ways it can be baked, a different kind of pies, there's different experiences and flavors and aromas that come from just the crust. Let me start with this. If we took the pie, we took off the top, we scraped out all of the filling, and on the bottom of the pie, you know how that dough is still tacky, it's still sticky, it could even still be a little bit raw to the touch, and that smell when we eat it, it's that beautiful contrast from the crunchy exterior to that super soft, chewy inside. That dough, that raw-ish dough on the bottom side of the pie, that part that's really chewy and loaded with carbs and just makes you feel all warm and cozy inside. I'm smelling that in this candle, and it came through when it's burning, but I'll talk about that later. That is a very mouth-watering aroma. But this is where it gets crazy. Whether it's pre-made or you're just heating it up in the oven, maybe you went to the diner, got a blueberry pie, but you didn't finish it, so you heat it up in the oven, and that crust it's so overcooked. It's maybe not burnt, but it's just dried out and really crispy. Like it just falls off the pie. It may not make for a pleasurable experience, that overly crispy crust. Maybe you enjoy that, I don't know. And so this complement of raw pie dough, or undercooked with overcooked, it makes the experience this small to this big. And this is super important. This is why, when we describe candles, or if you're describing what you smell in a cup of coffee or in a glass of wine, that, if you're trying to really improve your sensory evaluation, that you have to be as specific as possible, because the folks who are making these candles are thinking that specifically. And wow, the crust experience on this is amazing. And I will even say that there is maybe just a touch of a little bit of a burnt quality. It's not smoky, it's not black burnt, but you know what I mean. Maillard reaction. It's a non-enzymatic browning when you bake food, or when you sear a steak, when you toast bread. Like, this is the ultimate candle, I would say, to torture your roommates or the folks living in your household. Burn this in the morning, and they think they're going to be coming out to a kitchen with blueberry muffins or a blueberry pie, some kind of blueberry scone dessert brunch treat. And when they see that it's just a candle, they're certainly going to be disappointed, but they will definitely be impressed that it's only just a candle because of its authenticity. The first couple burns of this candle, I wasn't really getting the magnitude, the strength of the candle that I expected based on what I smelled cold. And I was like, man, this is really bumming me out. So I played around a little bit with the environment of my burning space. I switched my burning space. I burned this in my bedroom. I burned this in my living room. So a much larger area versus I have a very modest sized bedroom. I just wasn't getting all of the ingredients. I was getting some, but not everything. And it definitely wasn't filling up a large radius. I don't use the word throw, folks. I'm sorry, I don't use it. The intensity was strong when you're standing next to the candle, but take a few steps back and you kind of lose it all together, and what you're left with was a little bit of blueberry essence. However, I put it aside, I burned a few more candles, and then I came back to it and I burned it a second time, a third time, a fourth time. You see, I really didn't burn it for too long. Well, I shouldn't say that I burned it for too long, but I didn't expend most of the candle. What ended up happening was it blossomed. It definitely started to bloom, meaning after 3 or 4 burns, the intensity and the carry, the amount of the fragrance that would travel became greater. And I was excited, So is it just, I'm asking, is it just the fragrance oils are not completely blended homogeneously? Can I use that word? Or is it just that when we get further into the jar, we're utilizing more heat that's being trapped in the vessel, which in turn will help give you an even burn, but also help that process of turning the liquid fragrance oils into vapor? Well, I can't really answer that question, but I got about that level to the candle. Sorry I didn't clean this up for you, but it started to perform much better than the first 2 burns. Something else I wasn't expecting to talk about, but something that does happen to me from time to time, and I feel like it's important to share. When I talk about rating candles, I use words like carry. I told you dynamic range. Dynamic range would be like, I smell a lot of the blueberry, but I'm not smelling a lot of that beautiful crust that I was smelling before. This is something I don't think I've ever talked about on The Candle Enthusiast. Hang time. Hang time. What do I mean by hang time? Well, this is the only real term I could come up with to explain this. I burned this candle out one evening when it was performing well. I woke up in the morning, went to work, came back home early in the day, came back into my bedroom, and I'm like, what's going on here? Did somebody light my blueberry pie candle? No. The fragrance, it was just living in my bedroom. We blow candles out, we put them out, we become desensitized to them. Next day, we don't necessarily really smell them. Maybe this is a common thing for Bath & Body Works, but this is the first Bath & Body Works candle that I burned where I experienced this, where, almost a half a day went by, and I could still smell this candle at a level where I almost thought it was still lit. So I'm gonna use this term hang time because I can't think of a better term, but it lingers and it stays. Oh man, a very pleasant surprise. I can totally see why this was such a hit. Wholeheartedly impressed by the authenticity, the construction, the complexity, and the overall efforts of Bath & Body Works and or White Barn. So there it is, blueberry pie. If you can still find them, make sure you pick one up. If blueberry pie is your thing, or at least stop off at your local shop, give it a sniff if you haven't already. I think you will at least, even if blueberry pie isn't your thing, you'll be impressed by how authentic and intense that candle smells. Tell me what you think. Did you burn this candle? Have you smelled this candle? What are your thoughts? Tell me in the comments below. I want to thank you folks for joining me on this video. I have plenty of Bath & Body Works candles to be talking about, but also candles from other companies coming very soon, so stay tuned. And if you need a Candle Enthusiast t-shirt, is that what you said? A Candle Enthusiast t-shirt? Well, check in the description below, shop.com/shop.com/spreadshirt. shop.spreadshirt.com/thecandleenthusiast. There it is. Every penny goes into helping support and fund future candle videos, travel destination videos that are filled with adventure that we're going to be producing this year, but I need your help. Thanks for joining again, and I will be talking to you soon. But until then, be good.